Hello again, welcome back. And once again we are going to fly through the galaxy. We're going to try and leave the Helix Nebula long behind. I mean, we have left the Helix Nebula long behind. We are 4,000 light years from our home system, and that's only 650 light years from our home system, which means we're a long way away. We're only halfway out of the place that we're supposed to be. I can't remember the name of it, but we're only halfway away from it. So we need 35 million. This is going to be a good start, right? Can't even use the correct words. Okay, so what do we do? Right. We'd need 10 million just to sort this out. Well, more than that, I guess. I don't care about this at the moment. So this is probably what we do. Get some more of those just to get our aluminium coming in quicker. Oh, that's gone up by a thing. We might get this time. I don't know. 60,000. We're closer. Yeah, I don't know that I want to spend the aluminium, because we're going to get the titanium. By the time we get to being able to press this button in reasonable short order, I would imagine, we might even unlock this. Ooh, that'd be exciting. There's nothing here we can do, unfortunately. We haven't unlocked any new bits. There's nothing there. Oh, I can press these buttons again. Might as well. Right, get an extra 800 astronomical units a second. Let's have a look at our tachyon production. 81 billion. We're only 10,000 times less than what we need. Yeah, something like that. 1,000 times less. Regardless, it's going to take that a minute to gather. And when I say a minute, I mean a lot more than a minute. This is our next guest then, I suppose. We just keep dumping stuff in here. Because boosters aren't going to do us any good at this point, right? Like, don't get me wrong, boosters are good, but they're not cheap, right? Like, the silicon cost alone is more than the amount of well, I suppose we could get a couple, because if I add these, yeah, but they're only 0.1% of a speed, right? Which isn't very fast. Honestly, 0.1% is pretty poor. We're already up over 328,000. Oh, it wasn't that, it was the titanium. Yeah, we're already up on the titanium. I mean, that's pretty quick for the titanium production, right? We need to increase our titanium production, which means burning off aluminium, but I don't really want to, because now we can get prestigium. We are going pretty well with the prestigium production, and as a result, I'm going to press this button for a bit. Let's see, how much do we need? Well, we can afford to press that a couple of... We can't afford to press it again, though. But that's fine, because we only need 1 billion of silicon, so I won't click that again for a little while. Honestly, I don't think that's worth it, given the amount of silicon we need. So our next goals are 4,400 light years. We're not actually far off from our next goals, honestly. Like, we're going up pretty fast when it comes to light year production. If that's a way of phrasing it, I don't know. I mean, it's only a couple of seconds for us to get 100 light years. You know, it reminds me of Red Dwarf. I don't know if you've ever seen Red Dwarf, and if you haven't, it's a British comedy show from the 80s and 90s, and it's incredibly funny. There was an American version that's... I hear that the Americans found it reasonably funny, but I don't think that they enjoyed it as much as they were told how good the British version was. Unlike The Office, where it was translated for America, it was very funny. I've heard it's actually probably better in some ways than the English version. I don't know. I didn't like The Office. It wasn't my cup of tea. But Red Dwarf, right? There's a pilot's test for flying one of the spacecraft in it that one of the crew has to undergo. and as part of it, it sets up the whole episode. But one of the things in it, it's like, oh, you're traveling at X speed. You know what's the stopping time? And he goes, a fortnight. And he goes, and the thinking time, 2 days, 3 hours. You know, something like that. And it's just like, it's an interesting way of thinking about distance, right? Because you're not thinking about it in terms of how many million miles or not. You're thinking about it in terms of days. It's just kind of made me giggle a little because, you know, at that point, and I was only, I was a kid, I guess. Yeah, I can't have been very old when I watched the season 1. So, and that, I think this was season 3. I think is when. So the episode is called Backwards. Hang on, I was going to use my phone and look it up, but apparently, instead of looking it up, I just moved my mouse cursor while trying to swap hands to reach my phone, which was not the aim, right? Clearly. Let me have a look. If my phone will play. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. That was a potential solution to a health problem that somebody I know has. That's very different. Red dwarf. I can't necessarily type and focus backwards. Yeah, I think it's episode 1, season 3, but let's have a look. Backwards is the first episode of season 3. It was season 3. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. I would recommend, in order to understand the show's humour, I would definitely recommend watching from season 1. Season 1's a bit ropey in places, I'm not going to lie to you. I really liked it, I did, but then I'm of the age where a lot of those jokes were relevant. And if you're from Britain, almost everything will resonate. If you're not from Britain, there's a lot of things that won't resonate because they're based on cultural experience of, you know. So it's like, we get told we have the most advanced medical system in the entire world, right? And then you go in and the beds have only got 3 wheels out of 4 or something stupid, right? You know, it does work, but only just. So that we used to have a rail operator for our whole country called British Rail, you know, because we're imaginative, just like most scientists, actually. That reminds me of another thing. I might come back to that later. So we're an imaginative sort. So we had like British Gas, British Electric, British Rail, British Telecoms. Can you guess our theming? Like I said, we weren't very clever. You know, we weren't like, I don't know, Enron or who knows? They were the national agency of Rons. Everybody who has the name Ronald is allowed to join Enron. I mean, who knows, right? If it was British, that's probably what it would be doing. Like, English Ronalds can sign up. Anybody else, no, right? Sorry, a little hydration. So yeah, you know, they had a catchphrase. Nobody knows what it was. To the point where eventually they just changed it, because everybody kept making the same joke, which is British Rail. We may be late, but at least we'll get you there, right? Because, you know, at the time in Europe, you would go and get a train, and half the time it'd get cancelled, you wouldn't arrive. And it'd be the same with planes, right? You might try and get a plane if you were rich enough back then, and you still wouldn't necessarily arrive, right? But then you had British Rail, you know, we may be late, but we'll get you there. And I think in one of the Die Hard films, they took the mick out of it, where I think it's John's wife is on the plane. That's it must be Die Hard 2, right? And she's on a British flight, and they make a comment of, oh, just like British Rail, love, we may be late, but we will get you there, right? It's such a cultural meme, right? Now, we didn't have memes back then, there was no internet, but that was a cultural meme from how we, as the British public, used to view British Rail. So, Red Dwarf's full of those sort of references, where if you know how highly the British government and the British people think about ourselves compared to, the reality of how Britain actually is. We're very tongue-in-cheek, and we don't often complain. What we do is we walk in circles and then shout we're going to write a letter at someone, and then we walk off and then decide that we're not going to waste the money on a stamp, so we'll just moan about it in the pub for like 4 days or something, right? We are a funny breed, I'll be honest. Maybe that's because we don't have guns, but if we had guns, we would probably justify the fact that we didn't shoot you because, bullets are expensive and we don't want to have to fill out the paperwork. That's how we behave as a culture, right? It's not our fault. We can't help it. I've been watching a lot of stuff on Japan, obviously, as I've mentioned multiple times, because I'm still listening to Japanese music. In fact, this particular song seems like it could be a banger. She's got a great voice, actually. She has got a great voice. Hang on. But the point is I've been watching a lot of stuff to do with Japan and their sort of culture in terms of interpersonal and whatnot, and how they behave with each other. And obviously, I'm not immune to America, so I'm fully aware of an awful lot of things that goes on in America, and that's fine, right? I have no issues with that. I like America. America's cool. I've been there multiple times and I do enjoy it, especially the waffles. Waffles with strawberries and syrup, like amazing. Bisquick, best waffles ever. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is what I've worked out is we are sort of exactly in the middle between America and Japan culturally, right? Because the Japanese will happily say, if you ask a Japanese person to dinner, they've got this thing which is essentially they have what's called a public face and a family face. So I can't remember the two phrases. One's like tatame and the other one's hajime or something like that, right? I can't remember exactly. But the point is, you can ask somebody, oh, do you want to go out for dinner? And they'll say yes, and then not turn up, right? Which is incredibly rude in a Western culture. Now, if somebody's did that to an American or a British person, we'd be like, really? Now, the British person would probably be like, oh. Whereas the American would be like, screw you, guy. Do you know what I mean? Right? So, but we're in the middle, where we're thinking screw you, but we're like, we probably won't say it. I mean, I will. I'm very brash in that way. I can't help myself. I'm just like, oh, it's like that, is it? Well, stick it up your jacksie. And if you don't like it, maybe you shouldn't have done it. Or something along those lines. I can be quite abrasive, in case you hadn't guessed. Whereas the Japanese they won't even show you that they're thinking they dislike the way you are behaving. They'll wait until you're gone and then say nothing. But there's probably everybody else in the room who's Japanese is looking at each other going, I know exactly what you might not be thinking. Apparently it's incredibly passive aggressive. Now Britain's not exactly overtly aggressive, but we're not exactly passive either. We're just sort of muted. And obviously the Americans are known worldwide for being brash and overt, shall we say. And I think it's a wonderful part of the culture, honestly. I like it when I'm there because you turn up and they say what they think most of the time, in my experience, which is sometimes quite entertaining. Oh, you're British, say tomato. I'm like, no. They're like, oh, go on. And I'm like, tomato. And obviously you can't help yourself as a British person. You're in America, you put on your plumbest English accent, which obviously for some reason the Americans really love, except for the ones who don't, and they're like, flipping Brits. I mean, they swear. I nearly swore, in fact, but But honestly, I've never actually had too much of an issue when I've been in America with anybody. They've all been super lovely. So that song was called Backlight, so it's Ardo in brackets, Backlight, and then I'm not rewinding it, so it's moved on to the next one. I've been too busy blethering about cultural differences between the Americans, the British, and the Japanese. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I love the differences. I love the similarities, but I love the differences because those differences show us things like how we aren't actually that different, right? Because we're all still having to deal with the same problem of not wanting to go out for dinner with some dude for whatever reason, right? We may be enjoying dinner with our friends, and then somebody makes a fool of themselves. How do you deal with it, right? You know, it's like tipping culture, right? In Britain, we don't really tip very often unless the service is exceptional. Hairdressers, different thing. You always tip a hairdresser, mainly because she or he will be in control of how you look for the next 6 weeks. So pay them well, right? Otherwise you're going to walk away and you're going to look like an idiot, right? Or an Egypt. But yeah, no, tipping culture is generally not a thing, especially if the waiter gets lots of stuff wrong, right? Whereas I've been to the States, even if they get it wrong, generally you still tip the waiter. And I mean, I don't understand that. I'm like, they got my order wrong, they took it down wrong, and then they blamed me for taking it down wrong. I'm not going to tip them. And then you get looks of disdain from my American colleagues or friends, alright, colleagues, and, you know, no, I mean, like, when I've been in America, I've tipped, generally, like, and I do the thing of, you know, I'm at a bar, and I'm British, so I don't have to get ID'd, no matter how old I am. It's brilliant. I mean, it was brilliant. I'm definitely old enough now. But, like, I went to a bar, I ordered myself a cola. The barman was really nice. We were chatting, blah, blah, blah. Over the night, I must have bought him about 4 drinks and tipped him every drink, right? Admittedly, at some point, I did start collecting glasses because I'm British and I can't help it. Oh, let me just grab those for you. Why? Well, you know, it needs doing. And for every glass I bring in, it's 1 glass you don't have to, which means everybody gets served quicker. Yeah, but you don't work here. Yeah, but, you know, it's what you do at your local. You're on holiday. Yeah, but at the moment, this is my local. You've been here for 2 hours. This is your first time. Yes, but I've got a feeling I'm going to be back here multiple times in the next week. And sometimes you get the look in the eyes of the barman of, please God, no, right? But, you know, I try not to elicit that response in people anymore. It's quite... Although, when I was younger, I kind of didn't recognise that for what it was, because I'm a chatty sort of Cathy, if you know what I mean, right? And sometimes people don't want to talk about the inner intricacies of fusion reactors and or politics, or both, and how they interact with each other. Strangely, who knew? I mean, not me, and honestly, even sometimes now, I still don't know, right? I was in the pub reasonably recently, let's assume it was within the last 6 months, and I was chatting to a friend of mine, and her boyfriend brought up that something to do with fusion reactors, which obviously was like, woo, to me. So I just went off on one. The whole pub went quiet after about 10 minutes of me going on about it, right? And then people were starting to look at me. And it was only because my friend, she put on the same face that one of my exes used to do of, this is really fascinating, and you very rarely go into this super spurgy mode. And I'm fascinated, and you're so animated, please keep going, right? I know it's hard to believe given how much I'm waffling on this, right? But I'm going on, and I stop, and I'm spurging out, right? And she was like, yeah, but keep going, it's really interesting. And I look at the other people on the table, her boyfriend's like, no, seriously, keep going. And so I carry on, and I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, was it me, or did the whole pub go quiet? It looked like they were all listening to what I was having to say. Was I that loud? She was like, no, you weren't that loud. You were really interesting. I'm like, I don't believe you. Because, I mean, you don't, right? You don't look at yourself and go, oh yeah, I'm like the most interesting person in the room. Because I'm definitely not. I've met interesting people. I'm not sure I qualify as one of them. I mean, that's not fair. I am moderately interesting, right? It's a weird way of phrasing things, but I think it's accurate. Moderately interesting is It's like when I was a stand-up, I used to describe myself as moderately entertaining. And so I'd be like, hey, I'm Chrissy, I'm going to do some stand-up for you tonight. I can see by your faces it's not what you're expecting, and that's fair, because I am moderately entertaining. And some people would chuckle, because the implication, obviously, for those of you who aren't keeping up, is that sometimes I'm really funny, at which point more people would chuckle. And then I would go, and now moving on, let's start with some jokes, shall we? Because it's true that if you tell jokes, it could be that I could tell 100 jokes and you'll only find 3 of them funny. In fact, there is a comedian, Tim Vine. His whole catchline is, I tell one-liners and I tell lots of them. But the advantage is, if I tell 20 jokes, you're going to like one of them. So, whereas my philosophy was, much like I'm doing here, is like I'm doing it for my own entertainment rather than anything else. So it's like, I fancy giving it a go, I'll give it a go. I did it for a year, it was great fun. And it's just as well, otherwise I've been terrible at it, right? And, so I would try and do jokes that I thought were funny on a like a theory level, like plays on words and puns and sort of deeper critique that was being pointed out by pointing fun at something. So my parents, right, they always used to talk about the ifs and buts, like if ifs and buts ruled the world, but they don't. And when I got older, what I found out was, in the 80s, there was something referred to as the union trade strikes, which, considering most people, when you read about it or heard adults talk about it, they'd be like, the bloody union trade strikes. Now, I don't know if it's lost on you, but I'm used to acronyms. So taking the first letter of words and putting it together to create another word, like ATM for automated transaction machine, right? It's where you get cash from. Or PIN, your personal identification number. Not to confuse with PIN number, which is personal identification number, which makes no sense whatsoever, right? None at all. We'll not have it any other way. So anyway, you've got your union trade strikes, or the bloody union trade strikes, which is butts, right? And why were they striking? Because people at the Institute of Fiscal Studies were involved in flattening pay and rigging inflation rates and the interest rates to make it harder for the working and middle classes to get somewhere. So the joke that I wrote was about the ifs and buts ruling the world, and then because the IFS and the bloody union trade strikes. And of course, I thought that was hilarious. Turns out it's only funny if you know those things by either being old enough to have been there or are educated enough to have read about them. So anybody who was under 30 didn't have a clue what I was going on about with that particular joke. There were some professional comedians in the room who were hosting the evening one night, and one of them came up to me and he must have been 45, 50, so probably 15, 20 years older than me at the time, right? And he said to me, that joke about the Institute of Financial Studies was a cracker. And I was like, really? You liked it? He went, yeah, but I'm a professional comedian. I was like, yeah, but if you like it, it means it must have been good. And he went, that's not necessarily true. The problem with professional comedians liking your jokes is that it could mean that they are designed only for us. And I was like, okay. So what you're saying is, I'm going to be good for getting gigs performing at parties for comedians. So when's your birthday? Do I get a gig? Yeah. So, don't get me wrong, I wrote better jokes than that, and that wasn't how I would tell that joke, because telling that joke required a little bit of finesse, shall we say. Finagling, I believe, is another way of phrasing it, although I do not finagle. It sounds like I've been doing something rude. Finagling isn't my sort of cup of tea. I prefer to MacGyver things, if I'm honest. I'm not sure that actually MacGyvering things is the right way forward, but wait, what's going on here? Sorry, something's happening, and it's not on here. Obviously, that's why I'm getting confused. Because if it was on here, it wouldn't be so much of an issue. How much of this have we got? We've got 3,000. I can get some more titanium. We are making titanium pretty quickly now. I've not really been paying attention, but we are making a lot of titanium quite quickly. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Ding! Sorry, I can't help it. And wait for it, ding! Ping! 2.2, we're going faster again. So it's a 0.3 increase in whatever that is. Right, let's see. How far are we now? We're at 86.7. That's quite far. I mean, obviously it's quite far. It's a redundant statement, doofus. 63,186. We might get there before the hour. That's awesome. Right, and yeah, alright, fine. That's not enough. How's this going? Not very fast. I think this is going to take a while, you know. Right, so I can add some more titanium in here, right? That'll do. More titanium. And we got 10 million, so I can get... Nice! Like it. How much do we have here? Should I spend it all? I mean, I probably should, shouldn't I? Well, that's 20 million iron. We're going to... Where's more? It's probably 25 million iron. Let's leave it for the minute. 25 million iron's a lot. I'm going to get this as well, because we can afford it. But yeah, so... You know, when I say I am moderately entertaining, I believe it. I don't believe that I'm completely rubbish at things, necessarily. I mean, I'm not great at things either. Well, some things I'm great at. It's hard to tell. It's one of those tough things, especially with comedy, right? Comedy's one of those professions where you might be really funny to all of your friends. But that's subjective, right? Especially because if they know you, they kind of know your jam, right? And so you're more funny to your friends than you are, and it takes like 3 or 4 meetings for you to become sort of recognised as funny to those friends. But it's being funny on the spot to people who have no idea who you are. That's a different job altogether. One that I've been quite happy to take fun in. I still write jokes, as I've mentioned, and I'm toying with the idea of going back into stand-up, because quite enjoyed it. Although it does... My issue of stand-up is you have to stand up. I quite like sitting down. Sitting down's much more fun. If I could do it laying on a couch, I would. Well, it's a bit hedonistic, but, you know, if Hedonism Bot in Futurama can get around doing its entire job laying on a couch, I don't see why me, as somebody who quite likes sitting down, can't do the same. You know, I could do the old Dave Allen, sit in a chair with a blanket just telling jokes with a glass of whiskey, although I wouldn't have whiskey, I don't like it. Do you like whiskey? Whiskey's alright, I've been told. I've tried it. I've tried hundreds, literally hundreds of whiskies. Never found one that I've enjoyed. Bourbons, I like some bourbons, but never found a whiskey I will enjoy. And I've not worked out why. It's quite frustrating. Right, have we got enough yet? No, we haven't got 20 million iron, so nothing I can do there. Which is disappointing, marginally, but disappointing nonetheless. So yeah, it's just one of those things, right? I don't get it though. It's not the alcohol strength, because I drink overproof rum. You know, and I used to be able to drink basically any spirit whatsoever, except for 2. I've never really been able to drink gin or whiskey. And I don't understand why those 2 are the 2 that I can't really drink. Everything else has never been a problem. Like, I've had poachine, I've had, like, Kazakhstani cognac, for example. I've had some really odd flavoured alcohols in the years, like raki and ozu and sake. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You know, the Japanese one, very tasty. Like Chinese rice wine, plum wine, you name it. I've had all sorts of nonsense, but some reason, can't do whiskey, can't do gin. Is it me, or has this gone on longer than 15 seconds in this particular location? I think I've bugged it out. No, boo. It was like time had stood still. Maybe I was just not focusing hard enough on time. It just felt longer than 15 seconds, I tell you. See, that one. Maybe it just randomised onto the same place twice. I mean, it can happen, it's random. Just seems unlikely, that's all. I don't know. Maybe I just got over-focused on it. It's possible. Still not over the number of iron. Maybe if we go here and try it here. The iron goes up quicker here, I think. Well, it feels like it goes up quicker here. No, it definitely doesn't. That's a lie. I apologise for deceiving you in your hour of need, or whatever it actually is. It's not need, is it? Let's be honest. If you are in the hour of need and you're watching this, I think your priorities need to change. Unless what you need is to sleep or be mildly entertained by some random Brit bonger. I used to hate that phrase, Brit bonger. It felt racist. And then I decided, why not? Let's just live with it. It is what it is, right? I don't have any control over such things. And it could be worse. Oh, it could be worse. No, it could. There are worse things to call a British person. Rosbuf is one of them. We're not a great fan of that. I mean, we love a roast beef, but being called rosbuf is an insult from the French. And honestly, I don't mind. One of my friends is French, right? We get along like a house on fire. But being insulted by a French person in seriousness, as opposed to my mate, she's from Paris, right? And she takes the mick out of me all the time. Not a problem. But I remember being in Dijon and somebody was giving me grief, and there was a bit of an argy-bargy about it, as they say. There was fisticuffs, and I can tell you it was not Queensberry rules. I'm not going to go into how it ended or who got the upper hand. Let's just say that there was no more roast beef being shouted at people. I mean, they weren't shouting roast beef either. But, I mean, these things matter not, right? They're just the nature of how international relations at a local level don't necessarily follow international relations on a political level. I think that's fair. Is that fair? It seems fair. Right, now I was going to do something. It wasn't this. Well, I'll press these buttons because they're there. No, it was this, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. We need more. Oh, might as well do that, right? Because we can afford it. I mean, that's quite a lot of bonuses. All right, it doesn't feel like a lot, I'll be honest. 2,400 is not a big number. But 2,100 is definitely not a big number. We're up to 80%. 80%. This is getting silly now. 5 million iron. But I want one more. Come on, give me one more. I mean, honestly, I don't. What I really want is I want more prestigium. Prestigium. Every time I say it, I want to say prestidigitation. And easy for me to say, I know, but prestidigitation. I can't even remember what it means. It's like the ability to see things in advance, roughly, or something like that. I'm going to look it up because why not, right? It's the advantages of having the things around me. I will change screen momentarily. That was probably not the button I wanted to press, but I pressed it anyway, so I'll press it a couple more times because I can. Huh. Well, I mean, that works. We got all the way up to... wow, we're at 8.5% now. That's pretty good. Let's have a look at this. Ooh, we're quite... We've gone up another tick there. I like going up more ticks. Going up more ticks is good. Prestidigitation. There you go. Let's have a look. Prestidigitation. Sleight of hand. That's not what I looked up. Here we go. Is a noun that means sleight of hand. Oh, alright. It just said sleight of hand at the top of the page, and I was like, wait, I typed in prestidigitation. That's not the same. So yeah, there you go. How exciting, eh? I know you're as excited by it as I am. Wait, that's definitely not true, is it? It's not true for me either, if it helps. T-E. So where are we? Let's have a look. That's where we are. We don't need to worry about this. We're nearly at 65,000. We're nearly at 65,000. Wait, we've got a thing. That means we are here. Oh wow, this is it. No, galaxy, vast expanse. So we're there, which is Cygnus X1. Unlocks black hole tab. Interesting. 7,000 light years. And this is NGC 3201. And this is the outer halo at 150,000 light years. I mean, we're quite far away from that one. How far is this one? 21,800. I mean, at the rate we're going, we're not far away from that. Right, you ready? Let's have a look. Sacrifice multiplier. Sacrifice half of your materials to gain speed. Doink. Alright. Is that it? Is that all it does? Can I turn it off? I can't. That's disappointing. And it doesn't, fortunately, it doesn't mess with our tachyon particle thing. So it gains 10 minutes worth of resources. Water upgrade also reduces black hole cooldown. Not sure about that there, Ted. I'm not sure about that. That feels like it's a problem. Like sacrificing our fun materials. It didn't sacrifice our energy. Oh, wait, hang on. Better turn that off then. Didn't realise that was going to be a thing in terms of it was going to stitch up our energy production. Well, never mind. Not much I can do about it now, is there? And upgrading that isn't going to make a difference. That might have been a problem. I probably shouldn't have pressed that button. I didn't think it was going to do that to the energy. Still. So I have to use that incredibly sparingly if I'm going to use it at all, because it causes problems here. Well, if only you told me. I wish this would... Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to press that. Oh well. At least it will get rid of the deficit more quickly, I say. Wait, speed penalty has gone up? No, it's gone down, right? I don't know why I'm bothering doing this. This isn't going to make any difference whatsoever. How's our resistance going? Well, we're nearly there. We're nearly here. Which will be nice, because we'll hit warp drive. Because we're nearly at 10 light years a second, which is pretty good, right? It's going down now, right? See, it's going down because we're catching up with the thing. I'm glad I upgraded this a little. I mean, I'm not that glad, considering, look at the amount of difference that is from that. It's a very big difference. But, on the bright side, we're nearly at the point where I can click this button. So, if we have a look here, look at that. This one is the one we're watching. I'm not just going to sit here doing that because it's marginal difference, right? Look at the amount of difference it makes. Like the ticks it's giving us are so much bigger than the amount of marginal scratching I can put on here. And it doesn't matter what speed I go at. This is points, like singular points, whereas it's going up by several 100,000 at once, right? So, I'm less worried about it, if I'm honest. But apparently, don't donate your energy. We need 40 million energy. Is it million? No, it's 40 billion energy. Which means if I want to use the black hole, I have to press this a few more times. And that's in billions as well. So, I mean, it could be a minute away, if I'm honest. In fact, that's going to be more than a minute away by the looks of things. So, hang on, let's go. Well, hang on, I can do this some more. So I might as well, right? I mean, I'm not pressing that just yet. We're nearly there. We've reached this one. Look, this one's ready, but we still need this one. We're close. Close. My pretties, we are so close. Yes. 8.96 light years a second. I mean, that's very fast. And we can boost it even more by doing this, right? I take advantage of it. I should have been doing this earlier when we had the opportunity. If I'd have thought about it, right, while the boost is on, why shouldn't I? And if I really want to be funny about it, look, we'll press these buttons too and get even more boost. Because it's giving us 7 times our speed, right? So take advantage of it and get as much water out as we can in the process, which is good. I wish it'd give us more ticks on the water tick button, but it doesn't. But given how much power my computer has and the fact that I'm trying to do an honest playthrough, so that you get an idea of just how much gameplay you get if you were to choose to play it, you know, it makes more sense to not have any of the offline functions on as well. When I say offline and online, I don't mean it needs to be connected to the internet for clarity. I mean you can have it so that when you're not playing the game, it will run in the background doing stuff for you anyway, whereas I don't like that. I don't like it at all. I want it to be fully involved. We're going to start earning tachyons real quick though. Ooh, we can unlock warp drive. Surely. Yes, we can, and don't call me Shirley. Sorry, couldn't help it. Do we I mean, we should have a look, shouldn't we? But are we getting so much more speed, and I don't want to waste the seconds by looking at it. Right? Because we've gone from 7 odd, or 8, and we've nearly doubled our speed because of this asteroid. And yeah, it does mean our resistances won't grow as quickly because I'm taking the 10 minutes to do this, but 10 minutes of boost is going to be really convenient, and we're not going to be able to do this again for a while because of the nature of whatchamacallit, the amount of energy we generate. Which is annoying. It's fine, but it's annoying. Much like what just happened on my desk. So I just put the ash in this, and I tend to stop this from happening. I tend to roll the cigarette at the edge of the ashtray in order to get all the ash off. And what happened? It went all over my desk anyway. As soon as I pulled the cigarette out of the ashtray, which is kind of frustrating. So I roll cigarettes, and I'm going to need to roll another one soonish. It doesn't matter quite yet though. I might go for a cigar this evening with a friend of mine, because a friend of mine might be coming out to play tonight, and I might bring him a cigar as a treat, because he likes them occasionally, and I think he'd quite like that. Ooh, we're getting up on this year's date. Oh, we're past it already. Oh well, never mind. So when this runs out, we're currently at 3 light years a second, right? But we get so much more bonus from being on this page in terms of speed up to our, because it's relative to the speed we're going, right? Our current damage is based on our relative speed. So I might as well take advantage of it and really pump it. Because we can get to maybe, I don't know, 35 light years a second before it runs out. Then maybe we can get to, well, we'll be at 5 light years a second. Because I want to just try and take advantage of what we're doing at the moment. Right. And while I do hold this button down, I can clean my desk a little bit at the same time. Because I have multitasking skills. I mean, not apparently with a cigarette. I have barely contained skill. No, barely observable. Barely observable was probably more accurate. Yeah, I'll have to polish my desk soon anyway. It's made of wood and it needs that. I don't use a mouse mat. I should probably use a mouse mat. I was thinking about what sort of stuff to do if I eventually get merchandise. And I don't know. I was thinking maybe a mouse mat. Ooh, the excitement. Or a body pillow. Ooh, the excitement. But honestly, nobody wants an actual body pillow with my face on it. I'll put my channel logo on instead. That'd be more faithful to reality. You know. Not that my channel logo looks like me. I don't have cat ears. I'd like cat ears because they're cool, but I wouldn't because it means all my hats would need like little holes cut in them for my ears. And I like hats. It might just be easier to wear like an Alice band with cat ears on, but then I'd still have to cut holes in my hats, and that ruins the point of them. Because the best reason to have a hat is to keep the rain off or the sun out. And then my ears will get burnt or wet, and I'm not sure I like that. It's why I wear a hat in the first place. Although I don't have to really worry about my ears getting burnt, I'll be honest. Although I say that, it's going to be 28 degrees at some point. That's 28 degrees centigrade, so what? That's like 89 Fahrenheit or something, there or thereabouts. It's going to be quite hot for Britain, especially in April or May. And we've got a bank holiday on Monday. Get a day off. I mean, I say get a day off. I mean, it depends what you do. If you're retired, you don't get a day off at all. Honestly, I kind of think that we should make retired people work on bank holidays just because it'd be funny. You know, if you don't work, then bank holidays you have to work. I mean, that would scupper me because technically I'm retired, and therefore I would have to work, and I'm not sure I want to. Not on a bank holiday. It's when all the people who aren't working are off, and I like not having to worry about that. Look at how fast we're going. We hit the target. How much time have we got left on it? Should we check? Let's check. 7.32. Right, I'm going to unlock this and this. Unlock warp drive skill. Let's have a look and see what happens. Boink, boink, boink. I don't know what this actually does. Oh. 10 light years instantly. We can do the thing. We can do the thing. Amazing. Because it just gives us 10 light years every 10 seconds. 1 light year a second. Oh, when the hyperdrive runs out, I'm going to do the challenge. We can now do the challenge. It will take us 1,000 seconds, but we can do it. I'll do it next episode. That'll be next episode's goal. Because I assume that's roughly when we'll stop. How much time have we got left? Sorry. Oh, wait, what? Oh, right, hang on. Oh, it's a permanent speed multiplier. I thought it was a temporary speed multiplier. Okay, well, in that case, that's made life easier, hasn't it? I can't do more of that yet. We haven't got enough aluminium for that. We haven't really got enough energy for that either. Let's have a look at our energy supply. Well, we've nearly caught up, right? I mean, we haven't, but we can pretend we've nearly caught up. But look at that, 40 light years a second. So we're at 22,000. Wait, hang on, we're already here? I didn't realise we would be there already. That's pretty quick. We've got enough. Wait, this one. What's this say? We need 12 million harvest plasma strings. Gain 1 light year per level and 200 light years per level for skill 3. Ooh, okay. That's amazing. We can do that. Does that mean we're going to get more challenges? I wonder if getting... No. Well, I'll just press these again. Oh, it's 15 seconds, okay. But I wonder if we get more challenges when we get there. Because... So we need 12 million aluminium. We're nearly there. And honestly, I can live with doink where we're at, right? So we get 1 light year per second. Hang on, I'm going to press this. Doink. That changes things. That changes things greatly. Right, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it now. I was going to do it next episode, right? But we're not travelling very quick. We've now done 210 light years. It's not going to take us very long to do it all at this rate. Yeah. So we need to get to, I mean, a lot further than where we are, like, don't get me wrong. I can't even remember what this unlocks. The warp drive skill. Ooh. But this is the hyperdrive, right? And it gives us 210 light year range, which is pretty good, but we only need to press it one more time and we're going to get the hyperdrive skill. I don't know what that's going to give us, but it's going to give us something that goes there, presumably. Ooh. Well, what does that mean? Unlock the warp drive skill. Well, what does that mean? Ah, here we go. So, travel that far instantly, and does it give us this? I don't know. Just press all the buttons. I mean, we travelled far. 2,000 light years instantly. That was quite good. Look how far we've gone. We're now up to 68 light years a second, which is quite a lot further than I thought we'd go. Is that because of this? I don't know. Can't be. Well, regardless, this isn't really helping anymore. It's not making a big difference. But it's made a big difference because, you know, we're now getting much more aluminium as a result. God, some of this is really sort of saccharine sweet pop music, Japan. What is going on? Maybe if anybody knows any really good Japanese music, like, you know, that were I in Japan I might listen to, or I might hear, then you can recommend it to me. I would say links in the chat, but apparently somebody was trying to show me a fan-made version of The Bazaar, which honestly looked alright, but I still need to get a friend of mine from cybersecurity to look it over before I recommend it to anybody. But they were really struggling to put stuff in the chat. When I say chat, I mean the comment section. So yeah, well, I mean, look at that, 54 minutes, and we are barreling along. We're at 40,000 light years from home. Well, we're nearly a third of the way there. I thought that was going to take us forever to get there. But when I press these buttons and we get the wibbly wobbly field around us, Like, that's quite far, right? Yes. So we're nearly up to 18 on that, which is good, because we're losing 10 light years a second. That's quite a lot of light years a second we're losing. Honestly, it doesn't matter though, does it? The amount of distance we're travelling because of this button and this button, right? The wibbly wobbly field is helping. This is coming down slowly. I mean, I say it's coming down. It was coming down, and then it went up a lot, because I could have sworn it was like 3 light years, and then because we sped up, it went up as well. Not that you can tell, because it didn't really make a lot of difference to us in terms of speed. Our speed kept going up. But we're nearly at the point where we need 2 billion more energy, but you know, we're nearly at the point where that's going to be a thing. Well, there's nothing more we can do here on that bit. We can get more energy here, so that's going to be useful. Although it's so small, it's not actually important. This is nearly ready to go, which is nice. How's this getting on? Well, it would have been better had because I thought that by pressing this and then going on to this page we could get more speed, but apparently I was mistaken, because I am an idiot, and that will teach me to not read clearly. But you know, we're getting there for this one. So I reckon we might be able to get up to 10% next time of this stuff. So this chance of gaining, we might be able to get up to 10%, which would be nice. I mean, that's pretty good, right? We've made some significant dents in our ability to go places. And had our energy been where it was supposed to be, instead of sacrificing half of our energy, like, I didn't realise, and I should have known because it says not titanium and prestigium, but had I realised it would include energy, I wouldn't have pressed the button maybe. But honestly, we could just keep pressing this button, because it's essentially diminishing returns in some respects, but actually it's not that much of a problem. So we're over a third of the way to our next place. That's amazing. Like, that's real quick. See the quickness. Ooh, I mean, we're so close. That's good, because like the +2 to our boosters, I don't know what that's actually going to give us in the long range. I mean, maybe actually that would increase this as well, which would be awesome. That would be awesome, actually, wouldn't it? So we're a long way away from the next one on this bit here. Alright, we're not very far away at all. But that's, I don't know, do we wait? 250 divided by 125? It's like 2 minutes. I mean, we could get that, that's not a problem, right? Just going to do that because that makes sense. I'm not spending the energy at the moment, because what we need is like 30 million iron, right? Maybe 35 million iron. And I don't want to spend 35 million iron at the moment. Not that it'd really make a difference. Hang on, let's just see what happens when I click on that. Wow, look at the speeds. It's going up now. It's going up quickly. That's quite nice. I like. Much like. I approve. Alright, that's good. We need a lot more aluminium, apparently. I would like to get another prestigium, honestly. I suppose that's all we can do for the moment, until we get enough energy that it's not a problem anymore. Only because I don't believe I can press this button for a while, and it doesn't really make a lot of difference, does it? If I can press that, it makes a little bit of a difference. But yeah, 6.41. It's still pretty good though, right? Let's press the buttons and then that'll be it for the episode. I'll stop after that. It's weird that this is on a 40-second countdown. Or 45-second. God, we're halfway to the outer reaches of the galaxy though. Yeah, look, halfway to the outer reaches of the galaxy. Oh, we're here. Wait, I didn't realise there was a thing there. That was sneaky. I didn't think we would get to somewhere. Alright, there's something in the titanium tab. That's not that one. That's this one, right? What's this say? Add drone amount times 2 to iron, magnesium. That is awesome. But it is times 1 prestigium, and I'm not sure I'm into it. It's very expensive. Because that's a 0.3 multiplier to our speed. And it's iron, calcium and magnesium. It's the one that I don't care about. The one I care about is not those. Although it does give us a lot more. Hang on. Add drone amount times 2. I don't really understand what that means. It looks good, and if it said aluminium, I'd be up for it. But it doesn't, so I'm going to have to think about that. But while we're doing it, thank you very much. Take care. See you next time. Bye.